Hello students and welcome to our second presentation. So today we're going to start talking about food packaging. So we're going to start thinking about a food product, and what we see in the outer layer of the product is the packaging. So let's begin. So for today we're going to learn and describe the functions of packaging, distinguish the levels of packaging, give examples of the types of packaging materials, describe the packaging life cycle, and identify the basic elements of food labeling. Okay, so packaging is what surrounds, enhances, and protects the goods we buy. And if we think about all the food that is produced, around 1/2 of all of it is used to package food. And in some developed countries, packaging represents around 2% of the gross national product. So packaging is so important throughout the supply chain, from processing and manufacturing to handling and storage, and also when it gets to the final consumer. So if we think about the first definition, which are the levels of packaging, we have that they are divided into primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary package. So let's take an example and think about a breakfast cereal. So a breakfast cereal has, the primary package will be the plastic bag. So the primary package is the package that is in direct contact with the product. In this case, the food product. The secondary package in our example is a cardboard box. So we have the primary package of a breakfast cereal, which is the plastic bag. That bag is sealed and it's put into a cardboard box. And that's the secondary package. So the secondary package is in direct contact with our primary package. And the secondary package in the case of a cereal, breakfast cereal box, which contains all the information, the nutrition facts, the name of the product, etc. And then if we want to, let's say, have many cereal boxes together for distribution, then we will put them in a cardboard box, and that will be our tertiary package. And finally, if we wanted to have many cardboard boxes that contain cereal boxes, then and maybe we want to transport them abroad, or we want to ship them to another country, then we will put all these boxes, or which are already in pallets, and then we will maybe ship them in a container. It can be a metal container, and we will have many pallets. And that's the quaternary package. So let's look at another example. So here it's a very graphic example. And we have a tomato soup. So the primary package in a tomato soup would be this metal can. And it's called a tin plate can. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this in later slides. And now if we want to group many of these tomato soup cans, let's say in a pack of 8, we'll wrap them in a plastic wrap. And that will be our secondary package. And both we can see from the pictures that our primary and our secondary packages contains information that is very useful for the consumer. So then we will have many of these secondary packages put together in different cardboard boxes, and then we have them in a pallet, like our picture in the right side. We have 4 cardboard boxes. And then these will be our tertiary package. And then we have many of these pallets put together, let's say, to ship abroad, then that will be our quaternary package. So these are the different levels of packaging. So I would encourage you to think about an example of a food product that you consume regularly and describe these levels of packaging: primary, secondary, tertiary, and so on. So which are the functions of packaging? The main functions of packaging are containment, protection, convenience, and communication. So containment is very self-explanatory. So going back to our breakfast cereal example, we have our plastic bag, which is used to contain our breakfast cereal. But also it has the function to protect it. To protect it from what? Well, to protect it from the environment, to protect it from falling, to protect it from environmental factors like temperature or moisture or any gases in the atmosphere. And then if we think about the secondary package, which is the paperboard box in the breakfast cereal, it will protect it from getting like squeezed or falling, and it will give it more like rigidity, and it will be easy to transport. Then if we think about convenience, well, package should also be convenient. Should be easy for the consumers to open, to close. If we think about the cereal boxes, the same thing. The paperboard box has an easy open and close on the top. And we can think about other examples like the easy open cans or products that are easy to pour, or products that are wrapped individually and are very convenient for the consumer. So think about other examples and products and how the functions of packaging are met with these products. And the final function is communication. So if we think about a package and a food package, well, it of course has to communicate something for the consumer. So the package is like everything, the colors, the marketing, the fonts, everything that is the consumer sees, it's very important. And it's the link between the manufacturer and the consumer. So communication is a very, very important part of food packaging in particular. And it's related with other disciplines, not just food science or food processing, but also like marketing, graphic design, and like also like packaging technology and so. So thinking about packaging materials, this is a pie chart of the percentage or the market share of different packaging materials. So we can see that around 27% is rigid plastic and around 10% is flexible plastic. So if we add them, around 37% is plastic, and then we have around 34% paper and board. Then we have 11%, which is glass, 9%, which is metal, and 6% beverage cans. So both beverage cans and other metal are metal, but they're different types of metal. And then we have other packaging with like 3%, which can be like a combination of different materials, what we call like multi-layer materials and so. So it's important to consider that these are the most important packaging materials. And the plastic is one of the mostly used packaging materials. So which are the main packaging materials, types of packaging materials? So we have 4 main types. And it's important to think that we may have combinations of these, and we can have one as a primary and the other as a secondary, but these are the main packaging materials. So let's talk about plastic, paper, metal, and glass. So let's begin with plastic. And to start, I just wanted to show a table of recycling plastics. So if you think about the different plastic packaging, they always have a number, and the number gives us the type of plastic that is used to manufacture these products. So we have different types, different numbers, and different types of plastics with different compositions. And of course, different compositions will give us different characteristics in our package. So which plastics are more recycled? Well, we have the number 1 recycled plastic is PET, which is polyethylene terephthalate. So this is the type of plastic that we normally find in like water bottles or soda bottles, like Coke or other types of sodas, carbonated drinks. So this PET type of plastic is very widely used. The number 2 plastic that is recycled is high density polyethylene, or HDPE. And the most easy example is the milk jugs. So milk jugs are made with HDPE. So that's a plastic that is it's different from PET. It's not as clear. It's a little bit matte, and you can see the content, but the transparency is different. Also, the rigidity is different as if we compare it with PET, for example. Moving on, we have in the 3rd place PVC, or polyvinyl chloride. And this is type of plastic that is used, for example, when we buy, like, let's say bakery products. So that the boxes that are used to package these bakery products are PVC. And this is just an example, like say cookies or muffins or donuts. So this is, and you can see the picture. So number 4 is LDP, or low density polyethylene. And this is a type of polyethylene that is lighter, and the best example would be plastic bags. So bags that we use, and also that are used in like grocery stores, bags that are used to package, let's say, bread or other types of products, which are very light. These are the best examples of LDPE. Number 5 is polypropylene, or PP, and these are some examples, like the trays for like food or ready to eat food, salads, sushi, or also like frozen meals. These are good examples. Then we have number 6, which is polystyrene, which is PS, and some examples are like egg containers, or other containers for, like, let's say fast food, or containers for like to go. So these are good examples of this type of plastic. And then we have polycarbonate, and so these type of plastics are more not like single use, but reusable, and this is another type of plastics. So we have many different types of plastics. They have their numbers, they can be recycled, and they vary in terms of like properties. So they have different mechanical properties. They have different transfer properties. So mechanical properties like how easy they will like shrink or not, if they can like withstand, for example, heat or freezing temperatures or refrigeration temperatures, how easy they are to fill with liquids, and then we have transfer properties. So are they a good barrier to moisture, to oxygen, to other types of gases, and so depending on the food that we want to package, we have to choose the best type of plastic if we decide to use plastic as a packaging material. So I recommend that you watch this video that is posted here in the presentation, and which will describe again the plastics that are more recycled. And I'm going also to post it on Canvas. This is another video about the paper making process, and this is our second type of package, which is paper. So paper is also very widely used in the food packaging industry, both paper, cardboard, paperboard. So they are very widely used. And this is a video that describes the paper making process. So I encourage you to watch it. So paper is a very good material for printing, and we can find like many secondary packages are paper or paperboard, cardboard, like cereal boxes or boxes that contain, for example, individually wrapped packages of, say, oatmeal or protein bars, popcorn. So there's like many different examples of paperboard, cardboard used as secondary package. Also, we have examples of paper being used with coatings that will help with like moisture or oil absorption and so. So think about what products you can find in the supermarket that use paper or paperboard or cardboard as a type of package. So our third packaging material is metal. And we can see that we have 4 main metals that are used for food packaging. And these are steel, tin, chromium, and aluminum. So tin and steel, or chromium and steel, are used together to form what we call a tin plate. And a tin plate is used to produce cans. And these cans are what we may see, for example, in tuna cans, or baked bean cans, or tomatoes, soup cans. So these are made of what we call a tin plate. Then we have that copper is also used to produce these cans, but it's not in the finished product. But it's important to produce what we call a 3-piece tin plate can. Then we have aluminum that is used also with small amounts of other minerals, metals like magnesium and manganese. And this aluminum is used to produce aluminum cans. And the best examples are the soda cans, the beer cans that we are produced with aluminum. So if we think about metal, there's 2 main types of packages, which are the tin plate and the aluminum cans. So we have tin plate can and aluminum can. So picture a tomato soup, and that's a tin plate can. And then picture a, let's say, Coke Zero can, and that's an aluminum can. And they have some similarities, but they're a little bit different in, say, the strength of the metal. So if we compare these 2 types of can, we can see that the Coke Zero can, which is an aluminum can, is easier to like squish when it's empty. But if we compare it with the tomato soup can, that will, even if it's empty, we cannot like squish it. It will keep its rigidity. And both metals are very good materials because they have a very good mechanical strength. They have low toxicity. They are very, very good barrier to gases like oxygen in the environment. Also very good to avoid transfer of moisture and light. They also can withstand very extreme temperatures. So we can, like in the case of, for example, tin plate cans, we can like heat them to very high temperatures. And for example, in the case of aluminum cans, we can refrigerate them at low temperatures. And they are also very good surfaces for like decoration and to add other types of coatings or lacquering for many purposes, avoiding some type of like transfer or protecting the food even better. And I also encourage you guys to watch these, which is the tin plate can, and you can see how it is made and the features that are used. And then we can also watch this video about the aluminum cans, which have a different process than the tin plate. So it's very important to distinguish between a tin plate can and an aluminum can. Then we go to glass, and the basic raw materials for glass making come from mines. And the main ingredient is silica, which can be derived from sand, flint, or quartz. So glass has other properties, like it's a good barrier for oxygen. Depending on the type of glass can also be colored with different tints, like for example the amber bottles in beer or in wine. And this prevents the pass of light, which is very important to prevent the pass of light, because light can cause reactions that are undesirable. And glass is also very like low toxicity, or no toxicity, and it has several advantages as food packages. So also think about examples of glass as a packaging material. And I also recommend that you watch this video of how to manufacture glass bottles. So in general, the glass manufacturing process will be mixing and melting, then the forming process, which takes several steps. Then we go to the annealing and surface treatments. So both of these are treatments. The annealing is a high temperature treatment to make glass more resistant. And the surface treatments will also help with making glass more resistant and also making it a better like printing surface and so. So I want you to pay attention to this recycling of packaging materials. So this shows which materials are more recycled. So we have in the first place paper and paperboard. Then we have metals. Then we have metals which are both tin plate and aluminum. Then we have glass, and the fourth is plastics, which is the less recycled one. And I want you guys to think about why plastics are less recycled. And the most important thing is that plastics, there are many types. So one of the challenges is how do you separate plastics? So as I mentioned before, there's numbers that will help us separate plastics. But even so, it is difficult for the consumer some types of plastics may not have numbers, and so this makes it difficult. Sometimes some plastics are difficult to recycle. So there's a lot of work to do in plastic recycle. And then we're talking about individual packaging materials. But sometimes we have a combination of different packaging materials, like Tetra Pak, which is a multi-layer package, and is used to package like the plant-based beverages that are shelf stable, like on the shelf, like say oat milk or oat beverage. Though that is a Tetra Pak package, and that's a multi-layer package, and it combines aluminum, plastic, and paper. So it's more challenging to recycle because there's many layers. And if you think about different food packages, many have layers, and that it's more challenging to recycle. So with all these sustainability, recycling, so what we want now is to go from a linear lifespan in which we have the top line, we have, let's say, raw materials, maybe a type of apple something. Then we make the product, maybe we put it in bags, we use the product, we eat our apples. Then we have the primary package, which is a plastic bag, and then it is in a box. We consume it, we dispose of, let's say, maybe peels or seeds of apples or any residues. And then we have the bottom line, which we have let's say the raw materials to make the boxes, right? We have all trees, which are the raw material to make paper, and the fiber from trees is used to make paper. Then we have our boxes, we use them to transport, then we throw them away, right? So this is a very linear approach to packaging life cycle. And now the world is moving toward a more circular life cycle, in which you have your food and your package. They will intersect at some point, and they will use them. But the idea is to recycle them, or to get them back into the cycle. Not just to recycle them, but to use them again. So in the case of, for example, apples, so what can you do with the residues? How can you take it back to the cycle? Can you use it for, fertilizers or agriculture, or can you get something out of the byproducts? Can you put it back to the process? The same happens with let's say plastic or cardboard from the package. How can you use it again, recycle it? And this is the interest and the work that is being done to make it more a circular life cycle, and to have both a package and the food have this circular cycle, and then stay more time in the lifespan and not be like just disposed and so. So changing a little bit of gears, let's talk about food labeling. So if we think about packaging, which is the first thing we see when we buy a food product, the first thing we see is the package, and the package has a label. So we have all this material design, how we choose a packaging material, but then we have to design the label of our food item. So in terms of food labeling, there are regulations, mainly by FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration. So the FDA describes what we call a principal display panel, or PDP. So the principal display panel is the part of the package that the consumer sees. And it's like the area that the consumer sees at first glance. And depending on the shape of the package, we can have like different specifications. So in this, the right side, we have 3 examples of packages. We have a rectangular package, we have a cylindrical package, and we have other package, which is a plastic bag. So if we use a rectangular package, the PDP, or the principal display panel, must encompass the entire customer-facing side. And that's what we can see in the Ritz cookies. So the principal display panel is all the front side of the package. If we have a cylindrical package, these must encompass 40% of the total side area of the package. And that's what we can see in the Quaker Oats. If we have other types of shapes, then the PDP should encompass 40% of the surface area of the package in total. So these are regulations that manufacturers have to follow. And for one of the first assignments, you're going to have to choose one product and calculate the volume and the area of these food products, and more detail will be given in the assignments. But think about the shape of your package and where the PDP is located, and so. So, what are the basic label elements? So these elements have to be met by all the manufacturers. So these are compulsory and by regulation. So in the principal display panel, we should have the statement of identity, which is a common or usual name of the product. And we have to also include the declaration of quantity. So how much food is in the package without the package weight. So just what we call the net content or the net weight. And this should be given both in metric units and in standard units, like, for example, ounces and grams. If we think about something like a solid, that it's expressed as weight. Or if it's volume, like a beverage, it should be in fluid ounces and milliliters. Then we have the information panel. If we have a rectangular shaped package, that's the panel to the right of the PDP. But that depends on the type of package, right? So the information panel should contain the nutritional facts. And we're going to talk a lot more about nutrition facts. We're also going to have an assignment. The ingredient statement, which is the list of ingredients. The allergen declarations. So there's 9 allergens that have to be declared. And these are milk, egg, fish, crustaceans, shellfish, tree nuts, wheat, peanuts, sesame, and soybeans. So this is very important, allergen declaration. Then we have the handling statements, some things like keep refrigerated, keep frozen. We may also have, and this is not mandatory, but like a how to prepare statement, right? How to prepare it, heat it, and so. Then we have also a production code, which is the manufacturing date, and a declaration of responsibility, which is the physical address of the manufacturer. So these 8 components are the basic elements, and they should be included in all food packaging labels, and you should be able to identify them easily. So this is just a picture of like a graphic of how we can start identifying the basic packaging elements. So we have the principal display panel of this rectangular shaped box. And we have the statement of identity, or the common name, which in this case is the puffed rice syrup. Then we have the declaration of quantity, and we have the net weight, and it says 13 ounces or 368 grams in parentheses. Then to the right, we have the information panel, which is to the right of the PDP. Normally, this panel will have the nutritional facts, ingredients, allergens, and so on. Here we have another example, and these are the 8 basic requirements. So as I mentioned earlier, we can have more, like say preparation instructions, like heating or something, but that's an extra. So that's not the basic or the compulsory elements. So let's take a look at this picture, and we have number 1, which is the identity statement, and it says creamy peanut butter. Then we have 2, and that's the quantity declaration. We have net weight of 18 ounces or 510 grams. Then we have number 3, which is the nutritional facts or nutrition facts. And we have, and we already talked about in previous presentation, all the requirements that nutritional facts have. And we're going to see along this course the different components of nutrition facts and where they come from, how are they classified, and so on. Number 4 is the ingredients. So that's the list of ingredients. Something important to remember is that they are listed from highest to lowest. So the one used in the highest quantity or percentage to the one used in like less amount or percentage. Then we have 5, which is the allergen declaration. And here we see contains peanut and soy. Then we have number 6, which is the handling statement. And in this case, it says refrigerate after opening. Then we have number 7, which is the product code. And this is the manufacturing date. And in this case, we have the barcode, and this is more for tracking. But we also have the manufacturing date, which in this case says April 1, 2023. Then we have the batch number and the time. We also may have the expiration date or the best before date, and you should also be able to identify those. Then we have the statement of responsibility, which is who manufactured or produced this product. And this is a physical address of the manufacturer. If we have, say, different like importers or distributors, it should say distributed by or manufactured by in the label. So wrapping up this food packaging presentation, by now you should be able to answer these questions. What are the packaging levels? What are the functions of packaging? List the types of packaging materials and give examples. Which packaging materials is recycled more? Which one is recycled less? What does a linear and a circular packaging life cycle mean? And what are the basic elements of food labeling? And how do you identify them in a package, in a food package? So you should be able to identify them in a food package. So thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next presentation.